Welcome to the Esquire Health Club. I'm Mitchell Oakley-Smith, the Editor-in-Chief of Esquire Singapore, and it's my pleasure to be joined by three of the world's most talented gentlemen today. Singapore's first ever Olympic gold medalist swimmer, Joseph Schooling. Joseph, I know you're training twice a day at the moment, so thank you for making time.
Yeah, no worries, Mitchell. My pleasure. Always good to be here.
Good. Entertainment personality, Paul Foster, and the first ever cover star of Esquire Health Club. It's great to see you.
Thanks for having me, Mitchell, and good to see Joseph and Ross here as well. I think this is going to be a fun conversation we're going to have today.
Indeed. And last but not least, fresh off of 4 seasons of the hit TV series 13 Reasons Why, it's Ross Butler. Thanks for joining us from LA, Ross.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is going to be great. International Zoom interview.
Exactly.
only because of you, bro. Only because of you.
Oh.
The rest of us are here.
Yeah, thanks for staying up.
Yeah.
Now, what a year. I mean, this pandemic has wreaked havoc basically on every aspect of our lives. And I think that our mental health has really suffered. We might have family members that are sick, or we're facing employment uncertainty, or simply just feeling isolated, working from home and not being able to see our friends. And the numbers have really spoken for themselves. Calls to mental health hotlines are through the roof this year. And what's interesting is that the numbers of men that are suffering has been found to be much higher than that of women. And I think, of course, men are, we're more reluctant to discuss our mental and emotional state. Paul, where do you think that stems from?
I think it stems from a long history where men are deemed to be the stronger, physical kind of leader in that sense. So, you said it, the facts here in Singapore, for example, it was World Suicide Prevention Day not too long ago. And the numbers are, it's unbelievable that 2 out of 3 suicides in Singapore, unfortunately, this year are male. And 38% of males that were asked generally would not talk about their feelings and be open about their emotions. Again, it's been seen as this is like a sign of weakness, for example, which is totally wrong, because, being able to talk about your feelings and emotions is just being human. Let's take away gender here. This is a genderless issue where everyone's getting affected. And unfortunately, I think it has just come from a very primitive thinking that the guys here should be strong, and we should never show any sign of weakness, because if not, you're not going to survive. So unfortunately, we do have to switch that mindset very much so in this day and age.
Exactly. Yeah. And Ross, this is really, I think the success of 13 Reasons Why was that it tackled some of these issues head on in a way that other series aimed at this sort of age of audience hadn't really done before. And I think, I wonder if, making these shows is the way that we normalize and make it okay to be open about our mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a big part of the entertainment industry, is focusing on just making people feel less lonely so they can see themselves on screen. That's why representation is so important, but not only in race, but also with mental health. So yeah, I mean, exactly what Paul was saying, like, men are always seen as the warriors, as the people that can't show any sort of weakness, especially in Asian culture. And this is something that we talk a lot about in Asian American culture. And it's so interesting to finally talk with, you guys from Singapore, because this is like just an Asian American thing. It's just an Asian thing. Because when talking about Asian Americans, that feeling does cross the border, and it makes it even more, it makes it harder for Asian Americans to talk about mental health, especially as being like a model minority. We're the overachievers. We're the people that are good at everything. So it makes it really hard to talk about our feelings when we feel like we're inadequate, or we feel like we aren't living up to our stereotype. So making a show that sheds a little bit more light on this, even though it's for teenagers, I think everybody of all ages can relate to hiding secrets and feeling like we can't share parts of ourselves that we need to.
Hmm. And Joseph, do you think that in your industry, there's obviously such a focus on your physicality and the peak of where you need to be performing at the highest level? Does mental health sometimes have to take a back seat?
Yeah, it's kind of a tricky thing to balance, right? And just bouncing off what Ross and Paul have said, I absolutely agree with where they're coming from. I think a little backstory of how especially males always need to be seen as the warrior or like the stronger one, and you need to comfort your wife or the girl. All these things are I like to call them gender stereotypes that we don't necessarily have to abide by. I mean, we've definitely progressed a long way than 20, 30 years ago. And also, I think Ross said an amazing thing about how this can be, in particular, an Asian parenting thing, possibly. The communication you have with your parents sometimes, especially from the dad side. Paul, you can probably back me up on this one as well. It's like you need to suck it up. Focus on what you need to do, get from point A to point B. Along the way, there's going to be some turbulent times, but at the end of the day, you just better make it. And Mitchell, going back to your question, especially about racing, I always have my guard up at competitions, even though you might be battling something not everyone knows about. Everyone has our own problems, right? And that's normal. That's part of, like Paul said, being human. And that's the beautiful thing. But then again, Phelps came out on Talkspace and he said his tagline was, "It's okay to not be okay." And it's absolutely true. Yes, we're warriors whenever we step up on the blocks and dive in. But when we're back home where no one else is seeing or watching, we're just like normal people. We go through normal struggles, and we're human beings at the end of the day.
Mm. Yeah, I know, many athletes have kind of spoken about, the highs that come with the big events and then the lows that might follow. And I think that's probably true of the entertainment industry as well, as you're kind of bouncing from project to project. I mean, how do each of you balance that? I mean, Ross, is that something that you've kind of encountered before?
Yeah, it's something that this industry, it just comes with the ups and the downs. Like you're going to always be dealing with insecurities of relevancy and how people see you, because that's literally our job. But thankfully for me, I came into this industry a little bit later in my life. It's something that I grew up understanding coming into it and treating it more of a business rather than as a marker of my mental health or my psychology. Like I'm not depending my happiness or on these metrics that I can't control. It's just, it comes with the industry. I'm sure Paul, like you can relate with that.
Yeah, I can. I mean, it's true. Same sentiments from me. I don't let my career define who I am as a person. I love what I do. I really enjoy my job, and being in the public eye, I mean, you have to be ready to just be bombarded. Not just from the industry standpoint, but also from the consumer standpoint. It's just going to come to the territory. I learned a long time ago to develop a thick skin. I've been around for a while. So it just so happens that, I learned a long time ago as well that who you are as a person, and what you do every day with your intention and now more so that if you're in a place where what you can do can inspire more people, that's important. And again, you don't have to worry about those people that you don't know that judge you just because of this or that. And, they come out and they criticize you with no apparent reason. And yeah, I just learned, it doesn't matter. My family and friends know who I am. I can sleep every night and wake up every morning knowing that I'm out here trying to do my best and be my best. And that's what counts. So as Ross said, in our industry, a lot of the times you're taken for your personal appearance first because you have to fit a certain role. And if you get, you go to a casting and you try, you don't get it, it can be demoralizing, but at the same point of time, you have to know it's not it's not a personal attack on you as per se, because you need to fit a certain character. You could have gone there and killed it, like killed the audition and did amazing. And sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes they're like, hey, you know what? We might be able to tweak this character to fit your look and your your descent and everything like that, and we'll do this that way. Or as Russ said, now in kind of like these times, especially recently, there is a lot more opportunities, I think, for people of different backgrounds and different color to come out and land great, inspiring roles that can make a difference.
And I imagine for sporting, Joseph, you would have to make room for being human and not comparing yourself to what others are achieving, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Training's a funny thing, right? Sport's a funny thing. One day you might feel invincible, top of the world, you're crushing something, like, I guess it's an acting, right? You hit all your lines, like the flow feels right, like you're hyped. And then the next day everything might just come crashing down. Wow, like I don't get the feel of this show. Or like for Butterfly, like I'm not hitting any of my times, or I'm sinking, I'm doing the dying swan act in practice. So it's really about trying to stay as constant as possible, but understanding and knowing that you have a good team around you, whether it being for an athlete, it's nutritionist, psychologist, obviously friends are important as well, your parents, your coaches, your support staff, everyone. It takes a whole village to get one person moving in the right direction. And at times you just got to fall back on that support. You just got to trust it. And that's when I actually found that things actually click more consistently at a higher level, and you can kind of fight through the downs, right? And just hope for that up again. Just got to keep getting higher and higher.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to compare sports, and athletics and our entertainment industries, because like in sports, it's so much metrics. Like you have your times and you have your performance, and everything's based on that. And in entertainment, it's like the roles that you book and the auditions that you book, or the auditions that you don't, or the performances you give. And exactly what you said, these are the things that are shown to the public. These are what people see and how we can judge our performance, but that's not the important thing. Like you said, it's the support group, it's the people, like our friends, our hobbies, the things that we do outside of this that keep the glue together. Like we have these milestones that we can show to the world, but that isn't the definition of us. That isn't us. That is just that is everything coming together at the end of the day. That's being reflected in the number or in a scene. But yeah, it's all the background stuff that's important.
And you were talking about these metrics that you can't control, and made me think, like, through the lockdown, I know that you took up a range of different hobbies, like learning new languages and working on wood carvings and playing guitar. And I mean, I guess it's kind of important to diversify and find these new and other things that can bring some joy or interest into our lives, because when something happens like this year, when everything is just pulled from under us, it can make us sort of feel less than. Yeah.
No, I think, and I can say this of like a lot of people in my friend group, a lot of people aren't used to being alone or having alone time. I grew up an only child, so I spent a lot of time alone. I had a lot of time entertaining myself and picking up new hobbies. So for me, it wasn't too hard getting along. But I think it is important, on the hobby side, to have things outside of your profession that fulfill you and only you. Like, you're not doing it to show other people. You're not doing it to make money. You're doing it to supply yourself with self-confidence. And I think that does feed into your professional career. Like staying creative in my career, whether it's music or wood carving or just doing something that fuels my creativity, it just keeps that muscle working. To use a perfect analogy with Joseph, it's like for swimming, like you're not just swimming all day, like you're in the gym doing all your secondary muscles, and you're doing your mental training. It's all part of it. Just because you're not being paid to do it doesn't mean it's not important.
Yeah, I mean, that would I think really ring true for you, Paul, because we spoke about all of the different sort of community initiatives that you're involved in, like environmental activism and supporting elderly and all of these other things, and what that brings to your life, beyond your career.
Yeah. I always, especially during this pandemic, I think a lot of people lost their motivation. And I always feel like it's very important to keep motivated personally, but also to keep motivating others. So for me in particular, I just love social causes. I love giving back. I have the ability to do that. And throughout life, I've always been very blessed, and I'm very grateful for the life that I've been given. And I know there's so many other people that just really struggle every day just to live. And that's not fair. So, in Singapore as well, in general, everything's pretty good here, but the COVID-19 really brought out a lot of people who slipped through the cracks, whether they were again, mentally stressed, emotionally stressed. They lost their jobs. So all of a sudden their income's gone. I mean, the stress factors just went up. As Ross said as well, being isolated, there are a lot of people who actually don't like to be alone. And like Ross, I love my alone time. I thrive in that. I love being with my girlfriend and my friends and my family, yes, but I cherish the alone time too. I think that's very important to be self-aware of that. So a lot of people, really struggled, and yes, going out and trying to help for me was something that was very important. And again, it could be people. So the human factor, it could be the animals, or it could be the environment. These are the three silos I really focus on trying to help with when I can.
Yeah, I mean, and Joseph, you're training, a lot at the moment, but you've gone and launched a fitness app, as if you weren't busy enough. Can you tell us a little bit about this new business venture? It's really exciting. Congrats.
Thanks, Mitchell. Yeah, I just love making it hard for myself. So, I mean, so clearly fitness is an essential part of my lifestyle. And I really believe fitness lays the strong foundation for a good body and mind. And, the difference between 15 going to 16 in Rio was just, I got stronger, brushed up on some technical stuff, but the bulk of the success came from a level of fitness I, up to that point, had not hit before. So, Ross, I'm not sure if you're familiar with like the circuit breaker period. I know Paul and possibly Mitchell is as well. You saw people after a while coming out on the roads, running, cycling. I think we have enough cyclists right now to form like 4 or 5 Tour de France teams. It's absolutely insane. But wow. All this just showed us we don't really need a physical gym to get the gains or get to where we want to be in the weight room strength wise or whatever it is. So together with my strength and conditioning coach, both of us would like to share my success, what we've learned over the past few years, and share it with other people through this training app. And whether it's to build confidence or, maybe help a new user achieve their fitness aspirations or goals or whatever it is, we want to develop and nurture each person's fitness dreams and just really bring out the best in everyone.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's people are out and about in a way that we've sort of never been before, and I think being cooped up made us really appreciate the outdoors and like the natural environment. And it's kind of interesting that this pandemic came, like I'm from Australia, and it came right after the pretty devastating bushfires through. I mean, there weren't even bushfires because they were in the city essentially, but over the summer, and then more recently in the middle of COVID, all of California is on fire, and it just kind of, I think, makes us realize how fragile this environment is, but also how kind of interlinked it is to our own health and well-being as well. I mean, we've spoken about this, Paul. I mean, the two are kind of intertwined in a way that we never really realized before.
Yeah, I mean, what this pandemic has really shown is, yes, how interlinked, exactly that. How human and nature, humanity and nature in that sense, we're too close now in that, in you know, if anything, with all your farming and then animals coming together, and you know, when the virus can jump from animal to human, that was the biggest thing. But after that, like you said, with all the natural you know, disasters that are happening, and everything kind of falling apart, it's obvious. But I always like to take a positive. I'm always a silver lining kind of guy, and I look for the positive in things. And I'd like to touch more upon, during this whole time, it was really nice to see when the world was on lockdown, how much Mother Nature actually had time to heal and regenerate, and you know, wildlife started to be able to come out to places that, you know, were theirs initially before we encroached on their space. The water got cleaner, the air got cleaner, and it just showed in a matter of months how once our industry kind of shut down for a while, you could see how much of an impact we were having. And you know, we're getting to that tipping point in the world where you know, where the balance is off, and we still have that moment and that time to dial it back. You know, sustainability is about keeping ecology and the environment in balance, and we're just off right now. But I think it has made a lot of people more aware, thankfully, with that connection, and that we have to do a lot better to kind of make the world a safer and healthier place for all of us, whether again it's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You know, there's a huge connection there, and you know, we're all connected in one way or another. And I think the last few months have really shown that. But again, I always like to look at the positives. And you know, I'll go with the human spirit and perseverance and pushing through. And again, the boys have talked about support system that you always have. You know, we need these things in our lives to kind of get through the hard days and the struggles.
Yeah, it makes us realize what's possible, you know, with a little change, really. And Ross, I wanted to ask you about your next chapter. I mean, I know you've got your this next TV show, Swimming with Sharks, coming up, and I know that you can't reveal too much about that, but you've you know, there's so much, I think, that that people don't know about you. You know, that you have turned 30, you know, this year, that you're Singapore born, and you know, like, after, you know, being in these teen TV shows, I feel like you're kind of allowed to step into yourself a bit more this year, right?
Yeah. 13 Reasons was kind of the last holdout. Well, actually, no, we have To All the Boys I Loved Before 3 coming out, where I still play a teenager, but we're done filming that. So yes, I'm hoping that the projects that I work on from here on out, I'll be able to play a little bit older, hence the beard. Yeah,
I feel you.
Yeah. I really fought for the beard for Swimming with Sharks. That's one thing I couldn't say about the show, because they wanted me to be clean. I'm like, give me a little stubble. Yeah, but yeah, and then like Shazam 2, well, that's, I don't know when we're gonna go on that one. I think probably sometime next year. So I'll technically be older, but I'll still be 10-year-old mentally, but I'll be like in a 25-year-old's body. So I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, but you've been developing your own projects as well, right? And getting involved kind of behind the camera.
Yeah. Just going back to kind of what we said about representation, not only in race, but also mentally. So, you know, I'm half Asian, half white. So I'm working on, because that's the future. Mixed race is the future. No matter where you live, there's mixed race people. And that's something that you don't see enough of on TV and film. It's still all very predominantly like all Asian cast, black cast, white cast, and it's a dying. This is gonna sound really dramatic. It's a dying race. No, it's just mathematically, where the world is becoming more mixed. So I'm trying to get ahead of it, because it's something that it's a psychology, it's a philosophy, it's a lifestyle that most people haven't seen, or just don't even know what the struggles are like, or what the great parts of it are like. So yeah, I'm just working on things that allude to that.
Yeah, great. And Paul, you've this whole year been recovering from this knee injury, and all the while you're kind of on this mission to reach this great all round health and fitness level at 40 this December. I mean, what does fit at 40 feel like, or what's the end goal here?
It feels great, to be honest. I'd like to go back to the genetics. I think the three of us here, we're all mixed. I think we're quite lucky that we have, that in our blood. So, you got an Olympic gold champion here. You got two other guys who are obviously happy and doing well. So I think I'm lucky in that sense. I blew out my ACL last year. Playing mixed social netball of all things, so it can be a dangerous sport.
I just learned what netball was recently. No idea what it was until this last year.
Great sport. I do enjoy it a lot, but it shows that we're all still human. We're going to break down as we get older. That's just a fact. So yes, for pretty much this whole year, I've been on my rehab program. The lockdown, or here in Singapore, the circuit breaker, actually gave me a really good chance to just, again, be at home for that first month and focus on my fitness and well-being and diet. As Joseph said, with his app, something like that would have been great to have during that moment. But, we literally just found a whole bunch of 30-day challenges and then did that. And when I was allowed to go back to rehab, after the first month, that was great. That really was like, okay, I really need to get to that next level of not just fixing my knee, but my general well-being. Because I blew it out playing that ball because I wasn't at my normal fitness level. And I thought, I'm going out there, I'm going to play, I'm awesome. And I just was too gung-ho and it happened. So I realized that I needed to really take a step back and take care of my health and fitness more, especially, as you said, coming up to 40. So this year, that's been my challenge, a fit for 40. And again, it's not all physical. This is highly mental. This is as well thinking positive, being positive, eating well, taking care of yourself, sleeping, rest. I mean, again, everything that Joseph goes to day in, day out to be at his peak level to perform. It's not just, all right, I'm going to hit the gym and do that. It's very holistic. So I've always been in tune with that growing up in my, being an athlete myself in my younger days. But more so now as I get older, yes, it's like, okay, I need to be a little bit more holistic with my approach and take care of my well-being. So it's going well. I've still got a few months to go. So far so good. I might have to jump onto Joseph's app though and start utilizing that a little bit more.
Definitely, you're an Olympic coach, yeah.
That's great. That's good to hear, Paul. We need some guinea pigs.
Okay, I'm here. I'm ready, brother.
Yeah, I'll let Paul take the first round. Maybe I'll jump in on the second.
Sounds good to
me. So you guys were saying the circuit breaker. Is that what you guys call the lockdown in Singapore? Circuit breaker?
It's
nicer, doesn't it?
The guy
a little less totalitarian area.
Correct.
That's exactly
the authorities here didn't want to strike too much fear into it by saying lockdown. And to be honest, compared to the rest of the world, even our lockdown, or circuit breaker as is known here, it wasn't as harsh as many other places in the world. So, as Joseph was saying, and Mitchell, all of a sudden overnight, everyone was a runner in Singapore.
Yeah.
People you don't see running on a normal day. Like, all of a sudden everyone was running because you're allowed to go out and do physical exercise. So it was very interesting. Bikers, cyclists, and running just went up, I think, by a lot here.
Well, it's just good marketing, really. I mean, the word lockdown sounds so imposing, but circuit breaker seems like it's a solution for
like a slap on the wrist, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's leave the cane behind,
or something. I was like, ooh, that sounds cool. Like circuit breaker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if there's one thing that we can take away from this year in terms of, aiming for and maintaining our overall health and our mental and physical well-being, what might that be, Ross?
I would say it's good that everybody's learning to slow down. I think that really is the biggest thing. And I think that has manifested in this, like I said before, everyone's learning how to be alone if they didn't know how to do it before. I think that's a very important thing that everyone needs to, that everyone needs to nourish in themselves, is being able to be alone and to feel comfortable doing things on their own and not always needing to please other people and doing things to show off to other people. I think that's really good for mental health and just your self-confidence. And again, that'll feed into every part of your life. If you're only breaking plateaus because you're trying to prove to someone else that you can, you won't keep doing it. If you're breaking plateaus because you're doing it yourself, like Bruce Lee said, it'll spread to the rest of your life. If one part of your life you let get stagnant, that'll spread everywhere. So I think it all starts from the self, starts from the core. So I think that's one thing that I'm certainly taking.
Yeah. How about for you, Joseph?
Yeah, I think everything Ross said was perfect. You just got to be consistent about it, right? I'm talking about like a swimming point of view / my outlook on life. A lot of it comes from swim. You just got to be consistent. Make sure you have those around you. Surround yourself with good people that you can really fall back onto. And other than that, just like Ross said, keep getting better in every aspect of your life, whether it's social life, your professional careers, your family life, whatever it is. We can always improve. The way I approach it personally would be set goals, right? And that might not apply to everyone in the world, but coming from an athlete mindset, set goals. What do you want to achieve? How are you going to go around them? That might sound robotic at times, and it is, but I think the lesson still holds. Always try to get better, never get bored, never settle for anything less. Keep pushing boundaries. That's the only way you're going to move forward, and no one wants to move backwards.
Yeah. Yep. Paul?
Yeah, I like both what Ross and Joseph have said. I'm going to do a little bit of a hybrid there, and yeah, I think it does start with yourself. So self-care is very important, and I think knowing who you are first and foremost, and we're all on that journey for self-awareness, and trying to find that identity that fits with us the most, because I think that can be your main guiding force in life. For some, we find that earlier. For others, they're still on that journey. And unfortunately for the rest, some people don't quite find who they are until quite late. But that's the whole point of life. It's a journey. So I always believe in, again, being positive, taking those right steps in those right direction to be as best a person as you can be. And then what Joseph said about surrounding yourself with that right support system. Family and friends, people that can help you become a better person, and I think that's what I try to do a lot of. I try to give back as much as I can. I always believe in finding your cause. We all have a cause. We can have multiple causes. It's just whatever you're really passionate about, and that's something that you can do for yourself, but that's something you can do as well for others. So go out there, live your life, and don't be ashamed of who you are as a person. Find the right people to be with. Stay positive. And one thing I would like to say to end off is, never compare yourself up to people. We're all different. And I always say, don't compare yourself to, that person has more money than me. Oh, that person, he's got a better job. Oh, that person is so successful, and they've got everything. They're so lucky. But you must remember that there are so many people who are below you as well, who have nothing, who again struggle to put food on the table, don't even have a roof over their heads, really struggling in the world. And I always take it that I will always compare myself, to them, because then it shows me and it grounds me that my life is good. I'm blessed. I have a safe environment to live in. I can feed myself. I can do so much with my life that a lot of other people can't, and they don't have the opportunity to. So I think that's how I keep myself kind of grounded and sane in that sense.
Yeah. Thank you, Joseph, Paul, and Ross, for your time. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you, and I think let's keep the line open. You know, I think these types of discussions are really encouraging, and as you say, Paul, it's good to just be connected. So from all of us at Esquire Singapore, and on behalf of our viewers as well, thank you, and hopefully we'll see you in person next time.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.